Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. This your man H. Rap B coming at you live and direct as I do every 168 hours. This is Built for This Network. You are listening to a podcast called Build and Destroy. Thank you for tuning in. As I do every weekend, I must start the show off the exact same way. It wouldn't be right if I didn't. I acknowledge my ancestors. Without them, there is no me. Therefore, I send out respect and blessings to them. They send out blessings and protections to me. That is everybody included in the Whitmore, Pollard, Turner, Battle, Cotton, Harper, Bailey, Chris, Lansdowne, Liggins, Duncan, and anybody who knows me knows my father, my mother, my brothers, and my sister are part of the Williams clans. We are in the building. Thank you for tuning in. With that being said, as I stated, this is a podcast. You can catch me live streaming on YouTube. You can come back later and go to Spreaker.com, or you can go and where you can find Built for This Network. Then you can go to YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Deezer, Podcast Addict, or Podcast America, whatever that means. Well, that means if you're unable to complete the task this evening of listening to the podcast, and I'm tongue-tied, what I would like you to do is go back and listen and complete it, and it will be some valuable information disseminated, and hopefully it'll be useful to you. Thank you for tuning in. As I stated, I am H. Rap B. This is going to be, hopefully this will be an informative and or interesting journey that we will embark upon today. This is what we will do. Now, what we'll do is this. I will proceed to give you information that I deem valuable and useful to you, and you will hopefully interact with me via the chat room on Spreaker.com, where I have my listeners, my number one supporters. If you want to be a part of that, you should have received the link from me, and at that point, you can go in the Spreaker chat room, or you can go to YouTube, and if you subscribe to the channel, and you'll be able to communicate with me there. As of right now, I got my man D Great, RC, Lisa, number one Chief Rocker, DJ Chuck, and that's about it for right now. Acknowledge you as you come in. Thank you for joining the fun. Thank you for joining the conversation. With that being said, thank you again. We have an interesting week. There has been, tongue-tied. There's been another person inaugurated as president of the United States. This goes without a hitch. You have thousands upon thousands of military personnel on deck, and they created what I believe is a facade that make you feel safe. You are still living in danger. I am of the thought process that states this and only this. Look, we are looking at a situation. And again, before I go into that, I want you to hit like and share on your social media platforms. Right there on Spreaker.com, hit like and share. Or you can, if you're on the Google Podcast, or if you're on the YouTube station, take it there. But still hit like and share. Thank you, and allow me to continue. As I stated, man, I look at it as a facade. I truly look at it as a facade because what happened is this, in my personal opinion, we are looking at a situation to whereas the fear-mongering in regards to what's going on in the United States was at an all-time high. On the 6th, you had people commit insurrection or treason, whichever description you want to take on. Either one is appropriate. And then you were scared to death. And you were wondering what was going to happen. Are they going to allow Senator Harris or President-elect Joe Biden to be attacked? We don't know what's going on. This is extremely dangerous. What will we do? And so they proceeded to send 25,000, according to them, troops to the state capitol, but the nation's capital, to protect Joe Biden, his family, Senator Harris or Vice President Harris and her family. And they put on what I believe is a spectacle. You're looking at a situation to whereas nobody showed up for this and everything is cool and now let's move on. It's the dawning of a new day. I don't believe that, because we live in a world whereas the people who took over this country called the United States, they destroyed things that they can't have. Let's not forget there's 74 million people in the United States of America that says Joe Biden is not my president. There's 74 million people in the United States of America. Things don't go my way, what I'll do is destroy everything in my path and everyone in my path in order to get what I want. If you don't believe me, they tell you the story around Thanksgiving about the Pilgrims and how the people who met them at the coast, North America at the time, helped them get through the winter. They were starving. Some of them turned to cannibalism, and what happened? They destroyed those people and took over their land. Every time somebody who looks like me, we also have people who brought people from the continent of Africa over here to do their bidding. They kidnapped our ancestors, beat them into submission and put them in chains, changed their name, deleted their history and their memories from their persons. And at that point, what happened? Chattel slavery, and they attempted to destroy our ancestors. These same people who stormed the Capitol, their ancestors, this is what they did also. Once we won that battle of the Civil War, because let me get into what I believe is the Civil War has never ended. That was just a battle. We get into that battle of the Civil War, and what happened? We won it. We united the country again. We saved the day again, as we always do. And we call, what is it called? The Reconstruction period. Ulysses S. Grant, in fear of fracturing a relationship with his white brethren, ended Reconstruction and started what was a reign of tyranny that led to Jim Crow segregation, redlining, and other things. But what it really did was this. It gave us the ability to build our own things from scratch, because people told us, we don't want you around us. We don't want anything to do with you. And what you need to do is get your own. We got our own. Those people got angry and destroyed it. This is the 100 year of the most famous incident in regards to that, called Black Wall Street. So I can give you chapter, book, and verse on what happens when white America or some white Americans don't get their way. What they do is meet it with distress, they meet it with anger, and they attempt to destroy the things that they cannot control. A lot of people will make excuses. A lot of people will say, hey, well, not me. A lot of people say a lot of things in regards to this, but the truth is the truth. History shows you that when white America does not get its way, or white people who consider themselves white nationalists don't get their way, what they do is destroy the things that they cannot control. This is not my opinion. It is chapter, book, and verse in history. You got Charleston, South Carolina. You got Wilmington, North Carolina. You got Liberty City, Florida. You hear me say this is like a broken record. I say this every week. So the people who defend this behavior, I really question their intelligence. I question their state of mind, and I question their being as people of our community, because if you can't control something and you destroy it, that just shows pure wickedness. The reason I think it was pomp and circumstance is this. As we watch this, everybody and their mother were doing something and doing whatever they felt they needed to do. And, oh man, we're going to get it together. We're going to get it right. It's this, that, and the third. I don't really know what's going on. Blah, blah, blah. And now we're safe. Look, this is what happens. We're in a situation to whereas people from the culture, from what is considered the dominant culture in the United States of America, do everything they can to destroy everything that's ours. And they don't ever just do it in one fell swoop, because you people learn from their mistakes in the past. I believe a year ago, this whole situation started a year ago, when people like Rush Limbaugh was sitting his ass on TV, sitting his fat ass on TV, talking about secession. See, when you create the idea of secession in someone's mind, what happens is it just bakes right there in their head. They don't really know what's going on. They don't know what to do. They don't know how it goes, but it does sit there. Then you put yourself in a fractured situation by the president of the United States telling people, excuse me. Then you have these mysterious deaths around the country, whereas you got in California, 2 white men walk up behind a black sister, and shoot her in her head, and they said they did that to teach her a lesson. And then mysteriously, you see two brothers hung, and it looks like a suicide attempt, but nobody ever comes back and says if it's suicide or not. And the mainstream and the white-facing media, because that's what it is, the white-facing media never reiterates, never comes back to the story. You never hear about the murder investigation. It's just written off as a suicide attempt. Personally, I believe those things happen for a reason. And the reason is this: let's see how far we can take it. You've heard the term, if you give somebody a foot, they take a mile. That is the foot that they were taking. And they proceeded to take a yard, and then they proceeded to take a city block. And I personally believe they're inching up on a mile. Because the next incident you hear about is when they stormed the Capitol in the state of Michigan. Because you say, oh, nobody's going to ever do something like that. And they stormed the capital of Michigan. Nothing ever happened. So they proceeded to do something else. And something else is this. They stormed the capital at D.C. And everybody in there, they stormed D.C., they stormed Wisconsin, they stormed Sacramento, California, they stormed South Carolina, and they stormed about 7 other places. I personally believe that they're filling the government out, and they're filling the people who are in charge out, because nobody on earth has the ability to go up against the United States of military. Nobody on the planet Earth can go up against you, the country you live in a fight. A fight will be lost by just about, you know what, not just every government on earth will lose a fight with the United States of America. But if you have people like Rush Limbaugh, if you have people like Ted Cruz, or excuse me, Rafael Cruz, because his real name is Rafael Cruz. If you got Rafael Cruz going up saying this election wasn't authentic, then you got the state of Texas suing the state of Michigan and the state of Pennsylvania. This is what is called stage 1 of recession. But nobody's talking about that. You don't hear Don Lemon talking about it. You don't hear anybody talk about it. You don't hear anybody talking about insurrection. You're getting people arrested for storming the Capitol building of the United States of America, one of the most profound government buildings in our country, or in the country, I should say. One of the most profound buildings in the country that we know is the United States of America. And nobody's saying anything. These people are getting breaking and entering charges. They're getting trespassing charges. They're getting charges like if they ran their ass in your house. How does that make sense? Does that make sense to you? Does that seem suspicious to you? Because the last time I checked, when you storm a government-controlled building and attempt to take over, everybody and their mother should be upset, and people need to be going their asses to jail, putting themselves in a horrible situation, putting themselves in a situation to go to the penitentiary, but nobody's doing that. We keep sweeping it under the rug. Oh, well, you know, it's better now because Trump is gone. Trump is not the boogeyman. I keep telling y'all, he's not the disease. He's a symptom of the disease. Point blank, period. He is a symptom of the disease called white supremacy, racism, or whatever you want to call it. Because I need people to understand this dude is not the problem. Look, when you are allowed to stand in front of the entire world and spew lies, at that point, you can say whatever you want to say, and nobody's going to check it. Nobody has checked this dude today. So him and Rush Limbaugh and Rafael Cruz, they can stand in front of the world and say what they want to say, and they're going to get away with it. And then what are you going to do? What are you going to do next, H-Rap? What are people going to do? Because we keep hollering, we got to vote. Martin Luther King once said, education, where it is essential, it's not the only thing you need. You need social and political power. And if you allow people to storm the Capitol and nothing happened, you allow a man to stand in front of the world and say, I am still the president. You know what you have? Venezuela. That's exactly what's happening in Venezuela right now. They have 2 presidents. Nobody's saying anything. Hey, man, it's jacked up. Look how crazy it is down there. Well, you know what? It's 74 million people. You have this white woman. I wish I would have taken down the clip. She is literally standing in front of the world, crying, begging Donald Trump to do something about Joe Biden being president. You have a congressperson in the state of Georgia sitting around saying, hey, we need to impeach Joe Biden now because this election was fraudulent. If the election was fraudulent, how did Reverend Warnock win? See, the thing is, if the election is fraudulent, that means everybody who was reelected recently shouldn't be in office, and everybody need to go through the election process again. But nobody's saying that. Asking these people. You got the senator of South Carolina. Um, he's stepping out, blaming Nancy Pelosi for the insurrectionists because he knows he can get away with it. See, look, the end game is this. The end game is this and always been this. Donald Trump understands how media works. Donald Trump understands if I can create this fictitious media outlet, which he has, him and the guys at Breitbart, they've created a media outlet. They're buying television networks. What I can do is spew any propaganda I want. Nobody's going to hold me accountable. And people are going to just get mad and turn the other cheek and keep it moving. That's just it. This is what they do all the time. This is what they do. Look. If you don't understand the long game, this is what we need to understand is the long game. The long game is this. The long game is this, and it's always been this. Let's start 1980. At one point in this nation, you couldn't create a monopoly. A monopoly is when you control any and everything of one entity. Like you cannot, at one point, the SEC wouldn't allow you to own a newspaper, a radio station, and a television station in the same network. You have to pick one. You know why? Because if you can control everything someone hears, whatever you decide to say will be law and it will be real. Again, going back to Mein Kampf, Adolf Hitler in the 40s wrote a book called Mein Kampf. Actually, he took it from the Jim Crow and red line segregation in America. Understand that Adolf Hitler, the greatest boogeyman that we know today, got his blueprint from America. The way they treated black people, that's how he started treating the Jews over there. And here we are today. He's the boogeyman. We're the superheroes. Understand what's going on. Now, with that being said, this is what I want you to understand. When Ronald Reagan deregulated that in the 80s, what he allowed to happen is 9 years later, Rupert Murdoch takes over Fox, and he buys all the Fox radio stations, all the Fox TV networks, and now he's buying, and then he bought some newspapers. So if everything that happens, I control what goes on, guess what? There will not be a reporter on earth to report against his boss because he's unemployed now. Now, you may be able to get away with it now, like a Roland Martin, create your own network on YouTube like he's done, like I've done, and others have done. And then you'll be able to move forward. But that is a community-specific situation and nobody's buying into it. You know, the masses aren't buying into it. We don't need everybody buying into it for Roland Martin. But what I'm saying is this. Everybody is not like Fox. It's not like ABC, NBC, MSNBC, CNN. It's not real, quote unquote. So when you allow to dominate media and everything that you say, you have dumbasses that refuse to check, and I'm gonna get into that later, refuse to check the facts. You have the situation that you're living in now. A woman begging Donald Trump to save the day. One of the biggest hucksters, hillbilly, leader of the hillbilly horde, one of the biggest con men in the history of the world. He has been lying since we met him, and this is who you choose to lead you. Like my man in Gladiator, this is your king. But people don't mind him being that king because all you need is one or two simulated facts, and then people run with it. This has been going on in the United States of America for years and years and years and years and years and years and years, and it will continue to go on because, again, I'll touch on education versus schooling a little later, but this is what's happening right now. You have people who are taking another step every so often. They're taking another step closer to insurrection, another step closer to taking over the government or storming the government. And then what they do is fearmonger, and they tell you that the poor people and the black people and the Latinos and the Jews are going to take over. And then these wicked ass evil followers of this cult called the Donald Trump organization, because that's all it is. It's a damn cult. And it's not a cult is not a bad word, but in the sense that we use it in the United States, it is a bad word. All I'm saying is this: realize what you're looking at and don't fall for the banana in the tailpipe. These people are creating situations to whereas it will affect you, and it's time for you to mount up and be ready to fight. And that's all I'm saying. You know, Am I calling for arms? Because no. Because if you have two ears that are currently working, you understand that what I'm saying is be prepared. When you have people who are prepared to hurt anybody simply because what someone has said and they refuse to check the facts on their own opinions, those are dangerous people. Have you noticed that these people loaded up on guns and ammunition over the last year? We have been put in a situation to be scared of terms like black on black crime, inner city violence, and things of that nature. So a lot of us won't even go get weaponry to protect ourselves. How many of you spent the $10? I don't know about in New York State Illinois, it's $10 to go online, $10, take a picture of yourself, upload it to your computer, and have a firearms card to be able to legally carry a firearm. How many of you have taken the time to do that? How many of you have a firearm in your house to protect yourself and your family? A lot of us don't, because it's enough violence in the community. Look, there's a section of every community on the face of the earth that is wickedly violent for no reason at all. You don't know, there is no rhyme, there is no reason to their behavior, and so be it. We do not have the patent on crime. We do not control crime. We are not innately violent. We do not have a patent on that. So stop believing that people that look like you, if everybody get a gun, we're gonna go crazy. No, you're not. No, you're not. Stop allowing somebody else to dictate who you are and how you react to a situation. You, if you listen to me, or if you're one of the people who have an overabundance of melanin in their skin, you live in the United States of America, and you know when the police get behind you, you need to have a firearm in your house. You just saw what happened at the state capitol or the nation's capital. If that was real, you need to have what's stopping them from running in your house. See, when you heard Malcolm X say that 50 years ago, or 65 years ago, you was like, what the hell? He sounds crazy. But does he sound crazy now? Does he sound crazy now? See, hey man, Dr. King, one of my heroes too. But Dr. King had a different philosophy than I believe we should have as the black community in the United States of America today. I just do. That's an individual situation that worked for that man. But in regards to taking care of your family, we need to arm up. Again, we need to also stop falling out over foolishness. Stop falling out over foolishness. See, we have been separated by some of the most ridiculous things in the history of the world. Okay, we come out of bondage. We fight our way out of bondage, save the country, and then we start fighting about light skin and dark skin, house niggas and field niggas, rich and poor. But guess what? I saw this thing today. I saved it in my phone. I'm gonna pull it up. I didn't even think I was gonna use it, but I don't know why I kept it. It has the young man from The Wire who played Weebay's son, and it says, "I'm black and Colombian." It has the young lady from Blackish, and it says, "I'm black and Caucasian." It has the girl from Love and Hip Hop. It said, "I'm black and Italian." It has the girl, I think the girl used to date Nipsey Hussle, and it says, "I'm black and Jewish." And it has a redneck standing on the side and say, all y'all niggas to me. And at the end of the day, I do believe at some point we're gonna have to come to that ugly conclusion that bigots and nationalists and all these hillbillies that don't like you, that's the way they see you. So if you're light skinned and dark skinned, if you're brown, if you got tight eyes, big lips, whatever, if you look like you can be related to me, the people who hate you consider you a nigga, and you don't really have time to be dissecting each other about educated, non-educated, divine nine versus gangbanging, elk versus Mason, or what have you. We are in a situation where people are pushing our backs to the wall. And if you are not prepared to take care of you and the people around you, what good are you? We can sit around and debate if your ice is colder than that ice or that water tastes better. We don't have time. We can do that after we protect ourselves. We don't have to agree about anything besides the protection of our community, the protection of our children, the protection of our women, the protection of our elderly, and the protection of our brothers. That's all we really have to agree upon. Because as you see, the former president of the United States of America, Rush Limbaugh, and a few senators sat in front of the world and told the hillbilly horde to rush the Capitol, and you had people who worked there, officers, guide them. They had a beeline to certain offices. One of the senators, one of the congresswomen went to her office and checked the panic room, and it was disarmed. It was snatched out of the wall. So if you have the ability to instruct people on that level, why would you believe you're safe at any point in the United States of America? Because you are not. And I'm not attempting to stir up fear. I'm attempting to bring about awareness. We're under attack. We're under attack on so many levels, it's ridiculous. And we continue to focus on Joe Biden has saved us from the monster called Donald Trump. I don't know if I told a story about me being a collection supervisor and speaking to a person at a powerful credit card company. And one of the things about this powerful credit card company, they said they were predatorily lending. They purposely sent credit card applications in the hood, knowing some of those people wouldn't be able to pay them, and others would, and they would be beholden to them because they think they saved. You're not a hero if you sick a pack of wild dogs on me and then stop and fight the dogs off and the dogs break and run because you're the master. You put out a fire that you started. So the white facing media, what they call mainstream media, they created this thing called Donald Trump. They created this 74 million. They allow a person to stand in front of the world and spew unchecked facts, aka lies, and did nothing about it. And now they're fake asking for his head in order to maintain some form of credibility. And no, we're not doing that. I will not do that. I will not acknowledge that. And this is why I'm online today, because it's time for somebody somewhere. And there's literally thousands of people who are standing up for this. There's literally thousands of people standing up for this. And I'm just saying, they're doing what I'm doing, but I'm doing it now. So that's what I'm focused on. We must be prepared. Another way we need to prepare is to be mentally prepared. We got a lot of stress going on in our community. You're worried about the $600 that's coming along, this potential stimulus package that's coming along, and you're wondering if you're going to be able to even survive through this corona situation. You must find some way to meditate and detox from the world. Second, and most important, is your diet. I spoke about the diet last week, and I know, when you start talking about diet and telling people what to and what not to eat, immediately the eyes go up to the right and they roll over to the left. It's what people do. I understand. Don't tell me what to eat. I'm gonna eat what I'm gonna eat. And my grandmother ate this and all that. Cool. I'm not here to tell you. But what I am gonna tell you is this. Bill Gates is the #1 owner of farmland in the United States of America. I'm gonna say that real slow and I'm gonna say it again. The #1 owner of farmland in the United States of America is a guy who's a tech giant who used to be one of the richest men in the world. He goes by the name of Bill Gates. Why in the entire hell does Bill Gates own that type of farmland? Because guess what? If you can control the food of a population, you control that population. Monsanto, I got a homie I was talking to about some Monsanto stuff yesterday. Probably scare the hell out you. You'll be scared to eat anything. You eat dirt off the ground, just flat dirt before you eat some food. But this is what we're faced with. When Bill Gates is, look, I understand that Bill Gates has done some extremely wonderful charitable things throughout the world. One of these things he did is put a $350 million grant in the country of Africa, and that's American millions, so that money goes way further. On the continent, our money is way more valuable than the money in the continent. Explain that to me. The country with the most rich soil, the most minerals, the most jewels, the most gold, and my money is worth more than yours. But that's neither here nor there. And my man Big Illinois just said, uh, Ted Turner owns a lot too. We definitely need to. We're definitely under the tag. People don't even know it. That's my man Chuck. Thank you, Chuck, and thank you, Big Illinois. But yeah, why do these people own this much farmland? Why do they need to control what you eat? Because again, you control the population by the stomach, man. Army travels on the stomach. All these bromites that you've heard in your entire life, and now you realize what's really going on. It's cool to sit back and laugh and joke and hee hee ha ha, but we are going to have to get extremely serious right now. We're going to have to start creating gardens in our own community gardens. We're going to have to get serious. You know, the stuff that typically people from urban areas that look like me and you, we call it white people stuff. But guess what? Why did they bring your black ass over here? Because white people couldn't farm the land. They'd starved to death over here. Their ass would have died. So it ain't white people stuff. It's black people stuff. Agriculture and cultivating land is as black as the back of your neck. And I want you to understand that. So when you're dealing with these things, understand what you're dealing with, man. Understand what you're dealing with. Please. And then another thing, the government is out for sale. You don't think the government is for sale? Watch this. You have PACs. Those are political action. What's the last word? Political action organizations that you funnel money to the senators and Congress people, and they get things done like the EPA. Who the hell? Donald Trump. This dude, Joe Biden, spent the whole first day in office undoing things that fix the world. Who the hell is taking money to destroy the very world that they live on? Now you can get into, you go on those conspiracy rabbit holes. That's why they're going to Mars. But until they get their ass there, and if they do get there, you need to have something to be down here doing. So with that, what the hell? Why do these political action conferences are buying the government? You saw the government being purchased Donald Trump's last day in office. If you don't believe me, watch this. Donald Trump pardoned Harry O, big time drug dealer, Sister Perez, who worked for Rock Nation, and a couple other people who are known felons. These people are known felons. Some of them out of jail, some of them in jail. Some of them, you know, you can't say, hey man, he needs to go to jail. But how are you pardoned? Hey, I don't think drug dealers need to go in jail for longer than murderers anyway. First and foremost, if you're a drug dealer, I don't think you need 30 years, whatever. This is not a drug situation right here. But if you are pardoning people for money, which is clear in my opinion, I can't prove it, but why in the hell is Harry O out of jail because Snoop Dogg asked Donald Trump to do it? Why is Lil Wayne out of jail? Do I want these people to stay in jail? No, but guess what? Mumia Abdul-Jabbar, he in jail. And nobody's ever seen him kill. He was incarcerated for killing a police officer. Nobody ever seen it. It's murky circumstances. And if you watch that series that I told y'all to watch last week, 40 Years of Prison on HBO Max or on HBO if you got it on demand, you'll see why I say that. Our sister Asada Shakur, nobody saw her do that. And she fled to Cuba and been down there since. And how about this? Marcus Messiah Garvey. His son is still alive. He had a son just transitioned. He's an ancestor now. And he got a son that's still alive that's walking the earth today. And he wants his son to be pardoned. Why did Jack Johnson get pardoned by Donald Trump? Because first and foremost, he's attempting to curry favor with our community. And second and most important, he's being paid to do these things. And when your government is up for sale and the people who you consider celebrities, they're trying to take over the world and control everything around you, because it's a dude out here, Steve Bannon, he just ran past Jeff Bezos as the richest guy in the world. These tech giants are controlling the world. Jeff Bezos is trying to control food. He's trying to control technology. He's trying to control, now he's trying to get the ability to deliver pharmaceuticals to your home. This is dangerous, folks. And while we sitting back worried about the foolishness that we see on the news, excuse me, and what I'm about to say to the people in Chicago who have lost their lives and the people in Chicago who have had their items that they worked their behinds off to obtain in these carjackings, I am not making light of anything you've gone through. But guess what? When the world is on fire the way it is, we don't need to be worried about carjackings, because I've seen people yesterday. I was talking to somebody without a damn car worried about a carjacking. You're worried about a goddamn car and you don't have one. What? How are we worried about things that don't even concern us? And this is the thing that that really disturbs me. You have people worried about things that don't affect them, and they're putting a whole lot of energy into it. But you know what you could be doing? You could use that same energy to get to know everybody on your side of the street and everybody on that side of the street. And then you guys will get together and define what's important to you. And then you can start holding these people feet to the fire that you just stood in line potentially to catch COVID to get them that position. You hired several thousand people in November. And if you live in Georgia, you hired them last week. That's what you need to be worried about. Because guess what? More than likely, the people who are disenfranchised and doing these carjackings, if they had gainful employment, if they had adequate education, and if they had after school programs that they used to have when we came up, they may not do the foolishness that they participate in. Again, why are we worried about things that we can't control? Because carjacking did not start in 2019 or in 2020. It's been going on since they've had cars. People will take your things from you. You have people who participate in nefarious activities, and when you participate in nefarious activities, what happens is things get taken, people get hurt, drugs get sold, houses get broken into. I'm not making light of any of it, but there are bigger fish to fry at this moment. There are bigger fish to fry. Your government is up for sale, and then the propaganda starts. One of the things that this former president set in action was an attempt to distort what the history is. And when you distort what history is, what happens is this. You are allowed to create whatever is in front of you. You are basically an author of a story that has no end. What I mean by that, there is a project called, and Joe Biden defunct it, but it's still in the universe. There's still people that had a chance to download it, and people will have a chance to download it, read it, study it. And the people who are afraid to say, yes, I'm a racist. I'm one of these hillbillies that signed up and rolled with Donald Trump. Or I'm one of these sucker people with melanin who want to sign up and roll with this guy. They are able to read this 46-page manifesto and read all the lines in it. For example, first page clearly states that the slave trade in America was a necessary tool of the United States government. It proceeds to say, not only is it not unique to America, but it has been going on time and age. Again, this is a thinly veiled piece of truth on top of a gigantic lie. It is literally like putting a piece of toilet paper over the Pacific Ocean or the Atlantic Ocean or any large body of water and saying, well, we got it covered. The reason chattel slavery in the United States of America set itself apart from any other form of slavery on the planet Earth or throughout history is this. He's correct. The Romans had slaves, the Greeks had slaves, everybody had African ancestors had slaves. Everybody has participated in slavery at one point or another. That is a fact that cannot be denied. That is a fact that cannot be denied, even in the smallest way. Now, if you understand that, you also understand this. Throughout the history of the world, slavery was not treated like chattel slavery in the United States of America has been treated. And what I mean by that is this. You were stripped of your humanity here. Slavery and other in cases like the story that they tell you about the Exodus. Those people were in Egypt, and they try to tell you that, hey, these people were in Egypt, and while they were in Egypt, what happened was this. They got, the Pharaoh, they called on God, and God got angry with these people, and God made it so slavery, they had a chance to escape. But you know what those people escape with? They escape with their own names. They escape with their own traditions. They escape with their own history. They escape with their own God. Because remember, they prayed to their God, and their God allegedly saved them from this. This is the story of Exodus. This is what you would learn in your Sunday school class. Now you got people, experts like Dr. Greg Kahn, others that say that's a fictitious story, blah, 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 yakety smack. Okay, cool. But for the purpose of this conversation, that is a real story. And those people who were in bondage were not stripped of their humanity. Now, fast forward a couple thousand years, you have 1619. You have people. You had the Pope. The Pope at the time, Pope Paul. He legalized slavery. Vasco da Gama grabbed a couple of brothers, take them up there, and he got enslaved. Now slavery throughout the world. Bam! Here we go. Now you got people from the British Empire. Bring those people over here. Almost starved to death on the trip. Oh my God! Help us out, and they trade 4 Africans for food and coverage. This is the beginning of chattel slavery in the United States of America. Christopher Columbus did the same thing, and so forth and so on. So that's the 1619 project that Donald Trump attempted to come back with this 1776 project with his chuck full of lies. And one of the greatest and most egregious lies, you got people like jackasses like Ben Carson, who call them migrant workers. Oh, if they're migrant workers, then why were their names changed? Why were they forced to never be able to speak their own language? Why were they forced out of their own religion, which is Islam? A lot of people don't understand. Monotheology is the study of one God. That's all monotheology is. There's one God, whether you call him Jehovah Jireh, whether you call him Allah, or whether you just call him a generic name like God. One God, one universe, bam. That was created on the continent of Africa by people that look like me and you. Therefore, whatever religion or God you pray to, you pray to that same God. That's why all the religions say there's only one God, because it is only one God, if that's what you choose to believe in. Yes, I believe in God, so don't even start that. Does H-Rap believe in God thing? We're not going to go into that. That's a rabbit hole that I'm going to put a cover on right now. Don't even put me in that, okay? Now, with that being said, this is what I'm talking about. If chattel slavery in the United States of America is unique to us, because we are the only people on the face of the earth that were put in bondage, and everything else, the people that were brought to the Western Hemisphere, because 46% of us were taken to South America. 46% of the Black people who were taken from Africa and brought over to the Western Hemisphere landed in South America, primarily Brazil. It's only 4% of us landed up here. So understand that. See, a lot of us in education, just like the 1776 project, the education is so lacking that you believe most of us came here and we stand uniquely in this situation. No, this thing is going on worldwide. That's why you have Brazilians. That's why you have a lot of South American. That's why you had the homie friend of the show, shout out to him, Immortal Technique, who was on this very show. He's a Peruvian, and he came out and clearly said, this is what it is. We are brothers because I got uncles darker than you, H-Rap. Check the archives of Built for This Network if you choose not to believe me. This is what I'm not trying to indoctrinate you. I want to enlighten you, open up a door so you can see the light, walk towards the light, get the information. Come back and educate me if I said anything wrong, or continue to educate your friends and family as you move forward. This 1776 project is utter BS. It is a walking, breathing, talking lie. And there are people who are reading it. 74 million people are welcoming it. There are still other people who too afraid to openly say they rolling with Donald Trump because it's beneficial to them. They're reading saying, I don't agree with that, but this is okay, and that is okay, and what's so bad about that? what's so bad about that is it further plants the boot of oppression on your neck. Anytime a lie is told about your past and you don't correct that lie, you allow that lie to become truth because it will manifest and become a fact. Because you will not be here long. But as long as you can speak out and speak the truth right now into the universe, you don't have to worry about those things. We don't do that enough because, again, we have been indoctrinated versus being educated. And it's to no fault of our own. Education versus indoctrination is the topic of today. That is my number one purpose of doing the show today. Are you educating yourself or are you being indoctrinated? Because, look, education is something that will be beneficial to you. Indoctrination or being taught is something that's going to be beneficial to someone else. If I teach you how to be an electrician, you will grow up and work for someone's electrical company. But if I teach you how to be an entrepreneur and one of the tools in your bag is electric work, you've created a means to educate yourself. It's the difference in school and education. School and education. Do you understand the difference? The difference is this. A school, let's just go. We're gonna go very rudimentary on this because I'm not that damn smart. For one, first and foremost, I'm not smart enough to get into all the minutia. So what I'm gonna do is make it real simple. Let's go. A school. It could either be a building or a group of fish. The schools of fish they travel in packs so they can create the force to cut through the riptide and things of that nature. It's also strength in numbers and things of that. It helps them search for food at a better pace and live a better life. That's a school moving in one direction, just like being taught something. You know how to do exactly what they showed you. You find George Washington is honest. Benjamin Franklin held up a kite and got struck by lightning. What's the boy who lied about the light? Alexander Graham Bell. He invented the light and the phone and all that. That's what you were taught. But then education, this is how education is beneficial. Because when you're educating yourself, you find out that Benjamin Franklin didn't create electricity. You find out that my man didn't invent gravity. I can't think of his name right now. And you found out that Thomas Edison took advantage of a black man who couldn't own a patent in his own name. And it was a brother who created that filament that makes your light work today. It's a brother that created the remote control. It's a brother named Granville Woods who made the walkie-talkie, which is the grandfather to the cell phone. Therefore, when you see that, you that benefits you. How does that benefit me knowing those people did that? Because you've been reduced to believing, to quote the great W.E.B. Du Bois, if you, once these laws change and the discrimination has been dialed back a little bit and you're faced with integration, you'll be whatever the people imagine you to be. So they imagine us to be criminals. They imagine us to be degenerates. They gave us substandard education, which I'm going to talk to you about that again. Oh man, our schools are substandard. Wait a minute. Well, how did those brothers? What kind of standards were the schools for the brothers in Wilmington, Carolina, when they took over whole time? You had people fresh out of bondage, 3 years later in governmental positions. Because no matter what somebody imagines you to be, when you educate yourself, you'll realize I can do whatever the hell I want to do. I can do what. See, this is the difference in school, everybody moving in one direction, and education, broaden your mind and being able to see things from a different prism. I have zero against people who are in the school system. I think teachers are some of the greatest people in the history of the world, being one of the greatest class clowns in the history of public school in Chicago. If you got Miss Bradley, Miss Johnson, Miss Adams, Miss Dow, Miss Zach, Mr. Calloway, Miss Lewis, if I had to do what they have to do, somebody's kid would have got the hell choked out of. So I'm not saying teachers are wrong, but what I am saying is this: your child should be being shown the complexities of algebra, the point of entry of history, the point of entry of science, and you should be at home showing them why they need that. I'll give you an example. No matter how much of a class clown I was, I'll take you back to 1981 in my 6th grade year. The teacher was Miss Dow. She saw how I clung to history. We did this book on Africa. We did a book about this thick on Africa. I was glued on it. I wasn't even radicalized yet, I don't think. But she was like, you should be a historian. You should be an archaeologist. So guess what? My mom goes home. I go home, tell my mom I want to be an archaeologist. My mom goes to buy 3 sets of encyclopedia, but she not only buys these encyclopedia. Every time I'm stupid enough to say, I'm bored, my mother was like, she would say, call a number, because the encyclopedia got a number. Say a number. What's the first number coming in your head? 7. She would grab encyclopedia number 7. I had to do a book report on something in that encyclopedia, which expanded my mind. That's Miss Dow gave me the idea at school, showed me Africa and the history and the purpose of Africa. My mom spends her hard-earned money and buys encyclopedia so I can expand my mind and be better educated, not schooled. Another example, my daughter, at one point in my life, I had shunned religion. I was one of these people. That's the white man's religion and all that, being judgmental, being an asshole. I'm just going to keep it real. But my significant other at the time started going to church. So you know what I did? I used to sit down with my kids one at a time, not in a group set, because I wanted them to understand exactly what I was talking about. What did y'all talk about in church today? And she would show me what they talked about. I'm speaking about my daughter because she's the youngest. And I'm like, hey, show me what you learned. And she was eager to show me what she learned. And I would, in turn, say, hey, do you know what the Euphrates River is? Do you know what the Nile Valley is? Do you know KUSH and CUSH Kush is the same place? Oh, you didn't know that? Oh, guess what that is? They call that the land of dark faces. And guess what that is? Ethiopia. Oh, wow. Now she's no longer indoctrinated into religion. She realizes that the religion that she's being taught is a loose facsimile of the history of the world that includes her. Indoctrination, school, education. We must not look, this pandemic has shown us a lot of things. First and foremost, there are over 300,000 jobs that are going to be up for grabs. 300,000 and tech. I'm gonna cover that a little bit. I'm gonna cover that next week, because what I'm gonna do is provide you guys with this. Or you know what? I'll tell you, and then I'll provide you with the link at a later time. Follow me at underscore HRAP underscore B on Instagram or Twitter, and I'll be posting it there. Well, Google has set up a program. If you got a young person in your life, Google set up a program to teach them coding and mapping and things of that nature. Therefore, when they learn those things, they can go out and get some of these $75,000, $80,000 a year jobs, and they won't have to be beholden, because guess what? If you can code, you can create an app. If you can create an app, you can create a website. You are a productive member of society, and then you won't be employed. You'll be educated. And when you're educated, you don't need an employer. You could be an independent contractor and work in 50,000 different directions. Even how your man H-Rap, hook him up too. You see what I'm saying? That's what we're doing now, man. So we don't want to be educated anymore. We want a point of entry, which is school, to teach us some things. And then we're going to proceed and educate ourselves. Because when you educate yourself, you realize there's more black people in the world than Medgar Evers, Martin King, not Coretta Scott King, Rosa Parks, and George Washington Carver. You find out Adam Clayton Powell introduced the kindergarten program. That's what you find out. Like, what? Introduced the kindergarten program? Yeah, the kindergarten program. Adam Clayton Powell, one of the greatest politicians in the history of the world. He a brother and he a pastor. So Reverend Warnock, while people looking at him like, how you gonna be an activist, a pastor, and activist, a pastor, and a governmental employee? It's been done several thousand times. It was done time and time again. So again, this is why you have to educate yourself, because if you're taught these things, you think George Washington Carver, Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, how many of y'all know who Whitney Young is? How do y'all know who Fred? How many people know who Fred Shuttlesworth is? Exactly, because you are not you didn't educate yourself. See, my sister Charlotte, she in the chat room. She's an educator. She'll introduce you to Dr. King, and then you find out who Whitney Young is, Bernard Rustin, Adam Clayton Powell, Fannie Lou Hamer, Dorothy Chip. See, Dr. King is the entry point. I'm gonna introduce you to somebody. Now go educate yourself. Charlotte and other educators like Charlotte will teach you who these people. She will teach you about the civil rights movement. You will learn that, but you will educate yourself about the people around them, because, as once said by the great Stokely Carmichael, well, actually his name is Kwame Ture. He was born Stokely Carmichael. If you put nothing happens without organization. If you put George Washington in the middle of Valley Forge against the British by himself, he will be lynched and destroyed. But you put those soldiers behind him with the same force and going in the same direction, you get the Revolutionary War and you get the United States of America. If you put Dr. King in Montgomery, Alabama, talking about a bus boycott, he'd be strung up by sundown. Well, you put Stokely Carmichael and the Student Nonviolence Coalition, you put the Black Panther Party Self-Defense, you put Bernard Rustin, you put Ralph Bunch, you put all these brothers behind him, you put the sisters like Fannie Lou Hamer, Dorothy Chisholm, and other brothers and sisters behind Dr. King, and you had the civil rights movement. You see what I'm saying? Malcolm X is just a big mouth Negro. He's just a big mouth former pimp if he's doing this by himself. When you put the Nation of Islam and all those good brothers and sisters, Mr. Farrakhan, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and thousands and tens of thousands of other brothers behind him, you create the Nation of Islam, a movement that helped pull brothers and sisters. Shout out to my brother, Warren Jackson, who pulled 3 people out of homeless shelters in September and had them on display on his Facebook page today, while he was helping brothers come out of homeless shelters, putting them in suits and ties and converting them to better people. Whether they stay in the Nation of Islam or not is not my issue. And if he converted them to the Nation of Islam, it's not my issue. You know what it is? He helped out 3 people. So this, again, it goes right back to no brother who participates in nefarious activities should be incarcerated forever, because that brother was incarcerated for 12 years, got out, feet on the ground, running, and now he is a top fisherman in the Nation of Islam. So again, this is why we do not have time to debate and discuss who your God is. If you serve a God of righteousness, that means you are serving a God that needs to be heard by the people that look like you, and you are doing your very best to support that community. That's it. That's all. Who you pray to is your business. Who you lay with is your business. What is your business? You know what you do need to be discussing? You need to be discussing how to protect these sisters and their children on the way to college. You need to be protecting these seniors on these buses and these trains and in their homes. It's wintertime here in Chicago. It needs to be a team of brothers in every neighborhood and every winter city getting together, understanding that it's going to be some snow at some point in the Midwest, and it's going to be too heavy to shovel, and we need to be out in front of these seniors' homes so they won't crack their damn hips or break their damn necks, and take care of those people. Man, then after the children, the seniors, the women, and the other brothers are safe, then if you got enough time and energy to do it, argue about who God is right. Until you do that, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it, man. We must raise our children to be learners. Education is paramount because when you're educated, you know how to code, you know how to do research, you know how to understand who and what you are as a person of melanin in this country. You will look, this is what education will teach you. United States of America, black people are the minority. That's what school teaches you. That's what the television teaches you. Education shows you that within the next 7 years, the country of Nigeria will have more people than the continent. Country of Nigeria will have more than the continent of Europe. So how is it that we the minority again? I keep telling you, I've told y'all this for the last 3 weeks. There are more people who get kissed by the sun. Shout out to Corey Hope. They get kissed by the sun than not. There are more people that look like me and you. Look, I'm gonna say this every week if I have to. I will say this. I will go over this. I will back map this every week. There are more people that look like me and you than anybody on the face of the earth. And they keep telling you, see, this is how they teach you. Chinese people are like this, and African people are like this, and Asian people. Do you understand? Mongolian people are dark as your dumb black ass. There's some people that live right in the heart of China that are dark as your black ass. There's some people that live in Vietnam and in the Middle East that are dark as your black ass. There are people that's far south is Australia, dark as you. The Hawaiian people, the people of Tonga. Do you understand how many people on earth look like you? Do you understand that no matter where you go on the face of the earth, those people acknowledge people that look like you and reach out with a respectful hand? Now, if you listen to the propaganda, Asian people don't like you. But if you believe Asian people don't like you, why don't you believe black people are shiftless, lazy, and don't want to work? Because the same people tell you. When you go to Mexico, you see statues that with big, full lips, full nostrils, wide, full, round nostrils. You go to Asia, you see those same statues. You see simulations of pyramids throughout the world. No Ben Carson, no Ben Carson, no Ben Carson. The pyramids in Egypt were not grain silos. Thank you, Jesus, God, and for more white people that this dude won't be heard from ever again. See, he is living proof that just because you are very smart at something, you're very astute at something very complex, that does not make you smart. That means you're an educated fool, because he's a school taught fool. They taught him how to do something, and he looked at this is the same dude that said migrant workers, now the Egyptian pyramids are grain silos. You see what I mean? No ability to educate himself. He's just been taught how to do. Well, he has the hands of God. He can separate conjoined twins, and their brains are connected. He's amazing, and he can open up a book and find out that the pyramids are not grain silos. He cannot open up a book and do some research. Hell, you can't Google and find out that the people who were brought here in bondage are not migrant workers. You see what I'm saying? This is why you must educate yourself. If we teach our children, first and foremost, we need to teach our children civics. Once you teach civics, again, see, you must have a point of entry. You don't walk up to a kid, learn history. No, you teach them civics. Because with civics comes power. If you teach, I don't care if you are the most docile, humble person in the world, you teach somebody how to have power, they're going to listen. Most people will power. Wait a minute. Okay, civics gives you power. You teach them how the government works. Oh man, this government ain't for us. It's a setup, it's a trap. We're being bamboozled. But when it's more of us than them, again, when it's more of us than them, then you can rewrite the history books. You know, only time you should really want to read a history book is if it's more than likely written by a military person. Because you know why? Military people are hardwired to think one way: who won and why we won. The truth will come out because they're not trying. I won. I don't care if the black people made me win. At the end of the day, I am the general that did it. That's why you can almost trust military. But when you teach people civics, you teach them how to control things. And when they learn civics, what they will do is back map it. They would go 25. In 2025, I'm going to be president. States a person who was about 45 years old. I'm going to be 50 and I'm going to be president. Or 2026, this is even. I'm going to be president then. So what he has to do is realize he has to back map it, taking it back. How did this guy become president? And guess what? He's automatically educating himself on history simply through civics. How do we change these rules? What do I need to put together to change these rules? What do you do when you're putting things together? That's science, chemistry. Now you understand, blah, 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 this chemistry. Who do I need that's going to put me in a position so I can obtain my goal? X is the person that you need. I need to know somebody in this field, that field, that field. You've taught yourself algebra. You've understood the principles of algebra, mathematics, science, history. And guess what? You need to be able to articulate your thoughts. You need to be able to write them down and put them in front of people so they can understand your thoughts. English. So just by simply educating your child on civics, you will put them in a situation, your child, your grandchild, your niece, nephew, neighbor, what have you, somebody from your community who is a good person, educate them. Guess what? You've taught them everything they need to know in regards to the school system, and that will force them to educate themselves. You see what I'm saying? Practical application. You need to teach people the practical application of the things they learn. How does this affect what I want? The easiest thing to teach somebody is how to make them better at whatever they want to do. You've taught a child that, and we don't teach our kids that. We teach our kids, go to school, learn your lesson. And then you're not learning because all you're doing is regurgitating things like what people like Charlotte will tell you. But why? See, that was my issue in school. I understood 3.14 equals pi, or pi equals 3.14. You know what I didn't understand? Why the hell do I need to know that? You see what I'm saying? I didn't need to know that. So if I don't need to know 3.14 pi equals 3.14, why would I pay attention to that? Because I was being taught, I was being schooled, I was not being educated, even though I had some of the greatest educators in the history of the world. I was just a hard-headed jackass of a kid. That's all I was. And then eventually I caught on. I started realizing, thank God, again, I had Esther Adams. I had Miss Johnson, Miss Lewis, Miss Bradley, Miss Dow, Miss Johnson. That's elementary right there. That's all my elementary teachers right there. These people had a insane impact on me. So this is why education versus indoctrination. Anybody can regurgitate things. You can teach a baby their times tables. One times one is two. One times two. You can teach them how to say that, but they don't know what it means. They don't know how it's going to be beneficial. Education helps you, and when it helps you, it helps your wife or your significant other. And when it helps your significant other, it helps her sons, and it helps. And when it helps her sons and daughters, and it will help the family, because when kids more than anything, learn from what you do. They don't learn from what you say. They learn from what you do. Either you're going to draw right up on it, or you're going to push far away from it. If you push far away from it, we need to find another point of entry so you can receive this information. That's the key. That's education. Teaching is, Martin Luther King was this. He was nonviolent. But guess what? Martin Luther King stood on steps of the Washington Monument in 1957 and was talking about our connection to the continent of Africa and how us and those people were one and the same. See, you think he got radicalized in 1967 and 68, right before he passed. Now, Martin King, if you read the speech that won him the contest, that got him in Howard University, and please don't read it with the 2021 sensitivity plan. Well, he left out women and da, da, da. No, no, no. We're not gonna do that. We're not gonna do that. But if you find a way to find that speech, read it, and you will see Martin King at age 15 was radicalized, but it just wasn't his way. Again, just because you believe in that God, and that's because I believe in this God, don't mean everybody else got to believe in it. And then he's problematic because he did the non-violent thing like Gandhi, and Gandhi used to be brutal. He didn't even believe in non-violence because he was brutal against Africans. So what's up with that, H-Rap? I know that's the way some people think. But H-Rap and the great Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., born Michael King, there go a little something for you. Born Michael King. Look that up. Your great Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. didn't legally change his name to Martin Luther King Jr. until he was 29 years old. He was born Michael King. His birth certificate didn't change until he was 29 years old. 29 years old, I think. 28, 29 years old. Look that up. And then you're going to find other things that you want to know. But this, I'm going to chew up. Me and Martin King, and please don't even think I'm trying to put myself on the level of one Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., great Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., our ancestor. No, I'm not. But we are both, and Karen Hunter, chew up the meat, spit out the bones kind of people. We chewed up the meat that Gandhi had one way of doing things. It was well thought out, and it was a great way to get things accomplished. And what we did was, even though Mahatma Gandhi is problematic on every level, I see how it's beneficial to me to do what he did to get my people to where they need to be. Shout out to the great Dr. Martin Luther King. Period. And this is why education is important. When you're educated, you understand that no, I don't need to be, I don't need to just look at somebody like the homie RC. I know I'm looking at the YouTube RC. I mean, looking at the app RC. I'm not looking at you in the chat room. So RC is usually dropping gems. Shout out to RC. Just like the homie RC, I don't have to understand everything about him to respect his opinion. I don't have to be his best friend to respect his point of view. It can differ. He likes the Vikings. I'm from Chicago. I'm with the Bears. So we are opposites, but both of us love football. Both of us love our people. Both of us love history. So it's more things that we have in common. We don't allow the Viking bear thing to separate two good people. Again, education versus indoctrination. This is when we need to educate ourselves. And if you're new to the political landscape, a lot of us are, and you hear a lot about the first 100 days. And this is paramount. The first 100 days in office, each president needs to get this done because it's important. You do need to be aware of the first 100 days in anybody's political career in regards to the presidency. It is paramount. But what have you educated yourself on so you can ask this president for? Again, what are you going to ask for? A lot of people complain. You do a lot of him and hawing. These people, they don't like us. See, you know they ain't going to do nothing for us. But what are you asking for? Because when you say you know they're not going to do something for us, you have missed the boat. Because you are under the impression that you are beholden to them. They got that nice cushy job with the slick $500,000 pension for his wife and the slick $500,000 $1 million pension for himself because he said he would do things for you. He's been telling you he's going to do things for you for 1 year. What do you want him to do? How about this? Seeing how these white nationalists are so afraid and they're arguing about voting and this election was fixed. Let's make them believe every election is fixed. How do you do that? You do that by forcing Joe Biden to enact this, the Voting Rights Act. Yeah, yeah. See, because when he enforces the Voting Rights Act, John Lewis is our ancestor who recently transitioned. John Lewis, the Voting Rights Act, you don't have to worry about this nonsense anymore. See, because what happens at this juncture, the gerrymandering starts. It ain't enough of us over here. It ain't enough of us over here, and there's too many of us over here. See, when you got the Voting Rights Act, everybody's included, and then you can get things done. Another thing, everybody, their uncle and their mother was talking about this lynching bill that Cory Booker and Vice President Harris presented. That needs to be enacted. Because if you have the ability to destroy a person from our community with no problems, why wouldn't you? See, you got people like Rand Paul, or actually Randy Paul. See, we gonna call these dudes out. See, they don't want to be affiliated with their heritage. They don't want you to think I'm too black. That's why he don't tell people his name is Randy Paul. Just like Rafael Cruz, presently known as Ted Cruz. See, you hate yourself so much that you allow people to identify you by some white-facing name, so you'll be accepted by the hillbilly horde, and people will like you. People will like you. I don't give a damn who likes me, but you need to protect my people. That's what you need to do. Like another person, I want you guys to understand who you're going up against. Because when you understand who you're going up against, then you know who you are going to be fighting in the future. It's another woman politician out there. If you ask me, she's the white, she's the brown, more educated, more eloquent version of Donald Trump. You know as Nikki Haley. Her name is Nimrata Haley. She has Indian descent too. And more than likely, she's going to be the person standing up in Kamala Harris's face at this next election. See, like as I stated earlier in the conversation, the storming of the Capitol is just one move. See, we were taught that the Civil War ended in 1865. That was just the latest battle. We are in the midst of another battle. 60s presented a battle, and they continue to fight this battle until they lose total power. How you lose total power is, again, forcing this president to do things that make everybody uncomfortable. Again, I'm going to give you the stats again. Joe Biden said, well, you need to start working with the Latino because their voting block is just as big as yours. 98% of sisters voted for Joe Biden. 93% of black men voted for Joe Biden. The next group of people was 60%. You need to listen to us, Joe. Or we're going to form our own version, which we should do anyway. We need to form our own version of the Tea Party and get things done for us. Again, it goes right back to the civics thing. You teach your kids civics, you get them engaged in power. And once they realize the power that they could wield without being undercut, everything, because see, that's why you learn history. Because once you learn history, you love yourself. Once you love yourself, nobody can pay you to cross each other. And when no one can pay you to cross each other, then you're in a position of power. Once you learn these civics, it'll take you down the history rabbit hole, the mathematics rabbit hole, the scientific rabbit hole, the chemistry rabbit hole, the English rabbit hole, to be able to articulate and write out your thoughts. And then you can create bills like what Brother Cory Booker did, and Vice President Harris, Senator Cory Booker and Vice President Harris, like our brother John, our ancestor, transitional ancestor, John Lewis did, and other things. You must educate yourself before you do anything. not indoctrination, not be part of a school of thought. You must be in position to create a situation in which you are winning at all times. You are part of the global majority. We're not calling ourselves, you know what? I suggest that we stop calling ourselves black, minorities, Negroes, or anything. We need to start calling ourselves the First Nation, First Nation people. The reason we call ourselves First Nation people because we were first on the planet and nobody refused that. And guess what? That automatically calls us African. That automatically puts us in a position of power. Everything we do from now on into the end of the world, whenever that is, we need to be putting ourselves in positions of power. Period. Period. Point blank. End of story. You know, we must continue to support outlets like this one because Donald Trump has created Breitbart and the Patriot Party. The Patriot Party. Listen to that. The Patriot Party. What did the Patriots do? They took over something. And what did they do? Well, they take over the government. Understand the language that these people are speaking to you and be prepared. You support me. I do my very best to be a jolly. What that is an African, is a jolly in African terminology. A jolly is a person that basically gets things started with information. He puts the story out there. You go down a rabbit hole to get the truth. I'm trying my best to be a jolly because that's what we need right now. We need as many jollies as possible, telling the honest to God truth about everything that we need to hear. And when you hear the truth, you'll be able to identify the truth. And when you identify the truth, you'll put yourself in a position of power. You put yourself in a position of power. You and everybody connected to you, whether they be friends, family, or even foes, they will be in a better position because it is what it is. We must stop the distractions, engaging in distractions. Instead of galvanizing in our specific corners, protecting ourselves from the hillbilly horse. Shout out to Dr. Greg Carr. Protecting ourselves from any other enemies that are in the situation. We were engaged in conversation about Michelle Obama's outfit. Guilty. Guilty. I cracked some jokes. But we should have been focused on, as a collective, what Joe Biden needs to take care with us. Since they printing up money, we need this money on the stimulus side of the game. We need to focus on who we need to talk to in our communities so the educated amongst us, like my sister Charlotte, my sister Benita that just came in and educate us, so they can start after school programs that will pay them the king's ransom that they deserve as educators to teach about culture, teach about science, teach about music and things of that nature so they can hire those people. Because guess what? Everybody is not learning at the same pace. Some people are auditory learners, some people are visual learners. And those type of people that can help those young people with that. They have the patience, they have the kindness. My sister, Felicia Muhammad, Nation of Islam, she does the same kind of thing. My sister, Kurion, she does the same type of thing. She in Jamaica. These people need to be funded, and the people who sit at those desks that you put them in, they have the funds to do it. And you go, what about the COVID thing? Look, we're going to protect ourselves. We're going to get our diet right. We're going to relax our minds. We're going to get the proper rest. And we're going to be all right. We're going to clean our common areas. We're going to wash our hands and our face and stay as sanitized as humanly possible. And we're going to move forward as a community. The distractions of George Bush and Michelle Obama have a special relationship. Most kind women like retards. So there you go. We're not gonna be focused on that. We're not doing that. Everything. I'm not telling you not to have fun, because if I told you don't have some fun, I would be the greatest hypocrite in the history of the world. And I'm not that. So what we're going to do is continue to do what we have to do to be as popular, meant to be as powerful as we can be, so we can be the greatest nation in the United States of America, the first nation of the world. With that being said, I want to thank you for tuning in for Built for This Network. I need you to subscribe to Built for This Network. I need you to subscribe to my YouTube page. I need you to hit like on both Spreaker.com for Built for This Network. I need you to hit like on my YouTube page. Leave as many comments or concerns. I want you to reach out. You see the cash out there. If you feel like donating something, knock yourself out, right? Thank you very much, Charlotte. I want you to continue to support the network. Tomorrow, you got Raider coming on in the middle of the day. As a matter of fact, let me start today. You got Big Illinois coming on with his hip hop joint. Dope show. Not enough Bronx rappers, but I'm tired of saying it. I think he low key hating on me, but you know, I'm doper than him. But anyway, and then tomorrow you got Raider coming on. You got Mooka Dean coming on with the gospel music in the morning with DJ Mooka Dean. In the middle of the afternoon, you got Raider Kev coming on. Then you got a man D Gray coming on in the evening. Smooth grooves, get you ready for the next week. Monday morning, you got the number one chief rocker Jersey Vern on Built for This Network. Tuesday, you got DJ Mad Knox, Attack on Hip Hop. Then you got me, you got Joe from Houston, you got Big Illinois on the end of the bench, sports. We're going to talk about everything that happened last week in sports, NCAA, NFL, MLB, and NBA, and anything else that comes along with that. Girly Girl and Mandela Leon, Tasty Talk Tuesdays, D-Grade on Wednesdays, Deacon Dale on Wednesday evenings, and I do believe the triumphant return of Big Illinois' Backyard this Wednesday evening. Thursday, you got my favorite show on the network. It is called Theory of the Culture with DJ Mad Knox, Chiz Roundtree, and James Earl, talking about popular culture. It's fun, it's funny, it's engaging. Tune in. And then you got DJ Mad Knox and Big Illinois on Friday evening, Friday nights. 166 hours from right now, which is 1 week. Subtracted 2 hours at the show takes. 168 hours in a week, subtracted 2 hours. And then you got me back. You got Lisa Duke at noon. You got me in 166 hours. And then we're going to keep it pushing. I want to thank you again for tuning in to Built for This Network. I thank you again for subscribing to the End of the Bench podcast, whether it be End of the Bench on Facebook. I mean, it's End of the Bench on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, wherever you want to do it, man. Continue to support. I thank you guys for being in the chat room. Got a little, had a good time this evening sharing this information. And with that being said, it's been real. 2 fingers, 1 word. This is H-Rap B. This is Built for This Network. I am out. You know what? I always say this. I almost forgot to say it. Salute to the ancestor, Reggie O'Shea. I stole this from him. Dream those dreams and man up and woman up and live those dreams, because life without dreams flows in black and white, and life with dreams flows in technicolor surround sound. Thank you for tuning in for Built for This Network. I am H-Rap B. I'm out. Strong, not